3, 4. Ich glaube, das war... I think that was on point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Oh, English. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to switch languages again.
That do be the language we have chosen to speak. It's quite a language.
Oh yes, it is. Well, welcome everyone to the, for you, second episode of Chillosophy.
Yeah.
There is a
I thought
Nightmare
you
X
were
episode.
about to say like the Mark and Tara show on Fridays and Tuesdays.
Well, that would have been a lie.
Yeah.
What's this thing going to be? A monthly thing? Are you out of your mind?
God, no. Who would ever want to work that much?
I don't.
Yeah, me neither. Let's just stop the podcast, huh?
Yeah, let's just end it right here. We peaked, everyone, we peaked. But
Yeah.
to be honest, like, your animation was so nice.
Thank you. It took me a while. As animation always does.
People don't have to know that we planned this project in, I think it was... June?
2019? No. Oh, yeah. The thing is, the idea has been floating around for a while, but we recorded it in June maybe, and then I just descended into the animation cave.
The Shadow
And
Realm.
I came out like months later. Like, look, here it is. Are you happy? I put Weeses in it.
That was such a dumb joke, but yeah. Yeah, this episode is way more laid back than the last one. I don't have anything sectioned out for this.
It is Chillosophy after all.
Yeah. Basically, like, I'm an obsessive perfectionist, so taking myself a bit back is always a good idea.
And I am not that.
You just are.
Yeah, I think that's all there is to my existence, and I think that, like, you know what? It's alright.
It's fine. This is
Yeah.
fine.
It's fine, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's cool.
Yeah, I love these. I love those memes. But yeah, as I mentioned, there was an episode before this one that probably will not get released.
It will never see the light of day.
Exactly, because I think it just was something very personal to me in the end, and I don't know, how was it for you?
I feel that, yeah. I'm not sure how much of it was personal to me, because I personally am not very good at realizing when I don't want to actually say something about myself. But, you know, that's my thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got something to do with my whole thing where I'm like, oh, everyone's just living, okay? They don't actually, like, nothing of this actually matters. Which is actually not my worldview, but it is in some aspects. Kind of, I don't know. I have a convoluted worldview, and yeah.
We'll
whatever.
get into that.
Yeah! That's what we're here to do.
Exactly. Sadly, we are recording this episode one day after the terror attack in Vienna.
Yeah.
It was stressful like a stressful night for both of us, I think.
God, it was. Yeah, I was on a phone call with my cousin who lives in Vienna, and he actually said he could hear shots, which was absolutely insane. And it's kind of fucked up because you don't really register that type of thing would happen over here, or I didn't. Because usually you hear about like mass shootings and stuff from the USA, and you go, that's over there, that doesn't happen in Austria, but that apparently it has, and it's terrible.
Yeah, no, definitely. I also I also was on the phone for I think it was 3 or maybe 4 hours with my girlfriend who also lives there. She was in another part of town, luckily, but
oh, good.
it was also a huge shock for her.
Yeah, of course. It's insane. One wouldn't believe that stuff would happen here, which is kind of an eye-opener about how I've been thinking about the stuff that goes on in the US. Because in a way you get so used to shit being fucked up over there that you kind of don't realize the gravity of it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I also had some very good news. Like, the entire incident was partially a shit show over here because media started featuring the videos of people shooting live.
Holy shit.
Immediately when they went on social media, it wasn't totally live, but when they went on social media, the videos immediately got posted on news websites. And even though the Vienna police asked specifically to not do that because it would enable the perpetrators of the crime to escape the situation.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, I not knowing this, I clicked on the first video and saw 2 guys screaming at each other while there was shots being shot, and the media interpreted them both as being perpetrators or as being terrorists. But this brings me to my favorite story coming all of this, or rather my positive thing, which I kind of grabbed to. Both of these guys were Turkish Muslims living in Vienna, and one was a known MMA fighter with his friend, and they were directly caught in the action when the shooting started, and actually rescued an old lady, and then went in and carried a injured police officer to a car, to safety, and they did that just because they felt they had to, and one of the guys also released the video basically stating, "Yo, Turkish Muslims, we condone that shit. We condone terrorism." And I felt
shit.
Yeah, it was such a powerful moment for me, just because there's always a new wave of of course, some people will disagree with me, but I sometimes feel there's always a new wave of Islamophobia when there is a crime.
No, you're right. It definitely is. I don't know a lot about what happened, but I did Google the news, and I think also the way that the first thing that is always in the headlines is, oh, that's a foreigner doing that. That's the most important thing, of course. And when I clicked in it, it said there were 6 people doing it, and one of them was possibly not from here or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just talking, but the thing is, that's definitely a big issue. Not to talk about the US again, but the way that terror is associated with Islam is insane, especially considering how many acts of terrorism are usually just frustrated white men. Which I know that's the topic that was the thing of our last time we recorded this. That's kind of also not productive to say, because I don't know their lives or anything like that. But just strictly statistically speaking, and yeah, it's I mean, the war on terror in general, not gonna lie, I'm sick of it. Can't we just let Muslims live their fucking lives?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, of course, you always have to like argue in a very nuanced way when talking about acts of terrorism and Islamism as a political ideology specifically.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I actually went through the Wikipedia article of every single act of terrorism in the Federal Republic of Germany. And
Yeah.
yeah, and like, don't quote me on this. This is just this was just me counting on my hands. But there was like definitely a lot of way more right-wing terrorism in like Nazi terrorism in Germany than Islamism terrorism. Not Islam terrorism. That was a complete misnomer. Specifically, Islamistic ideological terrorism. It does not compare. The Kurdish Workers' Party has staged more terrorism, like terrorist attacks in Germany than any Islamists.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely because... Wait, no. See, I just keep bouncing back to the US. I wish my life wasn't so USA-centric. No, because I was about to blame it all on 9/11, of course. The thing is, I'm pretty sure we had a lecture on terrorism, and I'm pretty sure we had a whole set of statistics to do with which demographic is more likely to commit terrorism. Is that what you say? I don't know. And it gets so misrepresented. And that's always the part that everybody clings to. Because it fits their political motive.
Yeah, no, definitely. I also feel like that it's, well, how can you not politicize terrorism itself? I mean, it is a political act.
Yeah, it's a Oh, that's another thing. Do you remember when they were... who was it? The governor of Michigan? Was it something else? Because in the USA there was this thing, the USA again, where some people were gonna kidnap the governor of Michigan? Wait, let me Google it. Governor...
Yeah, Governor Michigan. Gretchen, I think is she's
called.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were gonna kidnap, Gretchen Whitmer, right. And immediately after, there was, people saying it's not political. And by people, I mean, of course, right-wing, Fox News.
Oh boy.
And they were like, oh, but this isn't politics. This is just some guys trying to kidnap a governor. How can it not be politics?
Yeah, and
I
just counted the amounts of like Islamistic terrorism in the Federal Republic of Germany. This is only for Germany. And I counted around 15 in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
15 cases. If I would go and just look at, for example, right-wing terrorism, it just beats it outright. Like, it does not compare.
Yeah. I think didn't ContraPoints make a video like that? In the incels video, she talked a bit about that.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of just domestic terrorism against how do you call it? If somebody refugees,
oh yeah, of course.
Refugee. homes,
Yeah.
basically. Like, a big part of here is just terrorism against refugee homes and all of that. And, like...
That's absolutely... That's disgusting that is the case.
No, definitely.
Those people are... They've gone through more than we could ever imagine, and least we can do is just let them live in peace.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, fire. Like, a lot of people try to set refugee homes on fire and stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is that's... This is just the large scale of that argument. That's a common thing between, like, right-wing politics, where they're like, oh, this demographic is doing all of this, and we're not, and then it turns out they're far worse. What specifically what I'm thinking of right now is that oftentimes right-wing people will be like, trans people are predators, which is complete bullshit. There's been like 2 instances of that, and there's millions of trans people, and it's... If you turn that around, trans people are some of the most likely people to get molested and murdered. They are at a higher risk of suicide, and it's absolutely insane that this is just this is just a common narrative, you know?
Definitely. Like, don't get me wrong. The idea of Islamism and the political ideology standing behind, for example, Wahhabism and Salafism.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that means.
Those are different, how do you call it? Those are different currents, which are partly religious, partly political, ideological, in the Muslim world, which are very radical and mostly lead to acts of terrorism. And like...
So like, baby shower club.
Exactly. And like, don't get me wrong. I absolutely dislike these acts of terrorism, and
no one's condoning them. That's not what we're doing here.
Exactly. The thing is, like, major leftist political figures, like for example Kevin Kühnert of the Social Democrats in Germany, a party which I'm also a part of, also had a article where he basically said, the left should not be afraid to call out Islamism for what it is. But reading this article, I posed myself the question, well, yes, but aren't the main people who suffer from isn't the Muslim world also a big part of the world who suffers from Islamism and this kind of terrorism?
Yeah, the thing is, when such a narrative is spun, the thing is, whenever Islamophobia gets, has a catalyst in a way, like back with 9/11, the people who are actually suffering from that narrative are just regular Muslims who are just trying to live and who will get, fired, hate crimed, that type of stuff. And that's not helping anybody. So the thing is, sure, you should call out terrorism for what it is, but you can't connect that to all Muslims. That's well, disingenuous at best, and absolutely that's harmful is what it is.
Exactly. I don't know much about Islam. I only know a bit because I'm extremely interested in the caliphates of the Middle Ages, where while Europe was outdoing stuff, we had like a golden age in the Middle East.
Yeah. Is that like... Okay, disclaimer, I've never known anything about history and I never will, even though history teachers have consistently been some of the most normal and pleasant teachers I've had. Is that Persia? Like, was that back then?
Partially. I'm mainly referring to, for example, the Umayyad Caliphate, I guess it's called, which was in Spain.
Oh, yeah.
And the, or like, the basic thing that the West wasn't the first to discover Aristoteles. That was the Arabian world. There's a reason why we use Arabian numerals. There's a reason why we use...
Yeah.
But why mathematics, our basic understanding of mathematics was, well, at least birthed in Arabia, partially at least.
Yeah.
And like this entire history there is so rich and so wonderful.
But
I have always
you
been
never learn
fascinated.
about it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
In Western society, at least.
No,
you
definitely.
just learn, like, in Western society, all you get is, like, ancient Greece was cool. Then, we don't talk about it. Anyways, the Enlightenment.
Yeah, and it's such a cop-out, because the Renaissance, like, signaled the beginning of one of the probably most, like, from a civil rights perspective and from a just not being shitty perspective, like, the Renaissance signaled the beginning of probably the worst times in Europe to be alive. In parentheses.
And that... We made sure to carry that over to everywhere else, too.
Exactly. Like, for example...
The thing is, this is actually... what I recently saw was a post that was like... There's a book describing how indigenous people in America have been living since, the Europeans came. And the thing is, the experience is like an apocalypse, of course, because they were nearly wiped out and now they're still struggling because no one will give them their land and everything. And it's insane how shitty of an influence just Europeans could have on everything around them.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, when the Muslims were kicked out of, with the ending of the Reconquista in Spain, when the Muslims were kicked out, it also marked one of the first, how do you call it? In English, in German I would call it a pogrom, where, like, religious minorities were murdered in the name of the Christian faith.
Yeah.
Like, that was like one of the first cases, and it was at the end of the like Middle Ages, and witch hunts were not a phenomena predominantly like happening in the Middle Ages. They happened afterwards.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Why didn't I know this?
Yeah.
Renaissance my ass.
So basically, our podcast topic, as we are discovering it right now, is how warped common perception is of the actual facts to make people, specifically us, more comfortable with everything that's going on.
Yeah, and it does not have to be necessarily a bad thing. I think it's human to do that, to find a comfortable, perception of the world.
Yeah, but when that perception gets in the way of acknowledging the mistakes that have been made and the the effects that still has on people, then I would say it's not productive, and it's it's cruel in a way, because if you look at all of Africa, basically most indigenous communities, the impact that Europeans have had on history, it's terrible, and it's still there to this day, and we still benefit from it. So in a way, to say that is okay in many cases will be right, but in this one I would say it's kind of it would be better for everybody if people would acknowledge it, because we could help fix it, fix the world, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I had a very strong anti-leftist phase in the last few months. Not that I'm not a leftist, but I just became critical of some parts of the leftist movement online. Very critical.
There's a lot to be critical about.
Yeah, there is, but I think the main point where it started for me was, and which also was a bit of content from the last episode, basically I am of a mixed background. I am what you would call probably white passing. I am I am inherently very how do you call it, very, but I have Asian roots and partially also Eastern European roots.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because I'm only part of the Social Democrats, because I kind of feel there I can be the most efficient in doing political work, there were every time all these posts from German online leftists, which are also communists, always talking about, people from the Social Democrats, they are nothing but traitors. They are traitors to the cause.
Oh yeah, leftist infighting. There we go. It kind of reminds me of the Bernie or Busters. When people from the far left are bash on leftists who support things that are not radical enough for them, and it's not really productive, especially specifically in the case of Bernie or Busters, because I'm not sure who said it, but I'm pretty sure it's more than one person, where it's communists themselves, under socialism, they can, their goal is they're able to fight for it, but under fascism or authoritarianism, they just get killed.
Good luck, buddy.
That's how it is.
Yeah, no.
And in that way, that's completely unproductive.
Yeah, I think that's also my main, gripe with at least online leftist Discord and the most vocal online communists or socialists or whatever. Well, theoretically, I'm also a communist, but I think the more right term is for me is I'm a very, very strong revisionist Marxist. I accept many of his points and many of his criticisms. For example, I've read his text on the Jewish question. It was very anti-Semitic.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about any of these old dudes, mind you.
Blessed, to be honest. Who needs
Yeah,
theory
all
anyway?
I know is constantly thinking about companies makes me very sad.
Yeah.
Humans were made to make art and laugh, not capitalism and cry.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's my political system. From
Yeah,
which
no,
I
100%.
operate with. I think I'm a bit of a platformist, to be honest.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. But platforming everyone, that's maybe a problem, but I don't think that you want that.
No. I still abide to two rules. One of them being I love all humans and humans good and I want humans happy, and the second one being the paradox of tolerance. Like, you can't tolerate someone who's being intolerant, because then your tolerance becomes worthless.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And that is how I navigate the world.
Yeah, I think also, like, I'm not a platformist, I'm more of an intersectionalist. Like, I will work with you to further the goals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, like, social media, I guess, filled me with enough spite to, like, being like, wow, I guess those people don't really want me around. They just want their revolution. And even if I have any experiences relating family experience, because part of my family was from Eastern Europe, part of them landed in certain forms of concentration camps after the communists took over. I just reflected on that and basically once tweeted out, like, yeah, I mean, Marxist is a great philosopher, but we need to look at the failures of how establishing socialism in Eastern Europe maybe failed in some ways, and how we can make this better. And then immediately somebody was down there and said, well, this has nothing to do with what we are doing now. Like, nobody wants to have the old socialism except for a few old people, and you're even referring to that is completely irrelevant to the discussion. And I was just like, yeah, dude, you're not really talking to me. It's just something that I have learned to caution because of the experiences of family members of mine.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I think what we talked about last time a lot is, in general, a lot of people on the left being of an opinion and being unwavering in that opinion, because it kind of, like, being on the left, most people just think they're right about everything, which they are about a lot of things, like believing in empathy and stuff like that. But sometimes what gets lost is that what gets lost in, like, some spaces is the fact that these politics have real effect on real people, and that you have to be cautious of if your politics are going to hurt anybody. Like, with, I don't know, for example, accelerationism would be an example for that.
Oh yeah.
Where if you want your revolution so badly, then please tell me how you are going to or not revolution in specific. I don't know enough about revolutions to know how they work. And in some cases a revolution might actually save a lot of people. But if you for example, the people who think Trump should become president again because that is gonna make lefties do more politics, in what world are you? People are gonna die more than they already have. And it's gonna have real effect on people.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I feel also a bit like, of course, revolutions have had wide-reaching consequences, and many revolutions have had like I can't say how good revolutions were or how bad revolutions were.
Yeah. The
But
one thing to consider though is that at some point people will revolt because they simply cannot live as is. At some point it probably isn't a question of should they revolt, but they don't have any other choice. When, for example, a system completely starves people or makes them, well, just basically when people can't live anymore. What's that text "Eat the Rich" is from? I don't remember.
I also don't. I will have to read a lot of leftist
Something.
dialectic
When the
and
poor
stuff.
don't have anything to eat, they will eat the rich.
Oh yeah. You know, the thing is, like, I can understand the idea that a revolution is necessary to escape the evils of capitalism. Like, I can understand if somebody...
I think I don't see, the thing is, the thing that I just said, I don't think that's applicable to our European political system.
No, definitely not. And I also personally feel like, well, communism in its pure form has never existed before. Like, if you ask
What was
every
that
leftist...
thing? Wasn't there like for 2 years somewhere in Spain or something? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the anarcho-syndicalist uprising in Spain. Which...
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. Natalie Wynn mentioned it once, and I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, of course, that could be a good example. The thing for me is, this might be a good example for how communism could look in reality. And many leftists could be able to point me to many more examples, and I'm also willing to learn about this and to look at it at least with an open mind, even though a critical one. But I personally feel like sometimes that a revolution has to be justified with extraordinary ideas and extraordinary possibilities, because you're taking a huge risk.
Yeah. No, my point was just that if that risk is all you have left, if a general population feels like they will not be able to continue living under these circumstances, period, they will revolt. That's what I meant.
No, definitely, you're completely right with that.
And I don't think that's the case for many of the, radical left. I'm not sure if I can call that, because I am also pretty radically left. Although I think I'm much more socially radical than I am economically, I think.
That's fair.
I don't actually know my own political view. I don't know what people would group me in as. And I also don't know enough about communism to say that definitively it would be a good system for everybody. But at this point, I feel like if capitalism continues at that rate, yikes. Big yikes.
No, definitely. Like, capitalism is actively destroying the planet through greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah. Capitalism is not equipped to deal with climate change.
Yeah. To put it a bit blunt, maybe, I just feel conflicted about people telling me the revolution is the only way, because a revolution might lead to a power vacuum, which might be filled with totalitarianism. does not have to be filled with totalitarianism, and there might be historical example where this is not the case, of course. I am very aware of that, but at the same time, when looking at history, you will always have to look at history in a certain context. Those people were not enlightened, even if they were communists at that time.
Yeah.
The Soviet Union banned abortions and prosecuted women.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And at the same time, America had McCarthyism, so yeah. There's a lot of shit.
There's so much shit, and all anyone's trying to do is have a good life, raise some chicken.
Yeah. Like, I also have read a few texts criticizing electoralism, a leftist ideal which I'm more drawn to than revolutionary ideals. The idea of electoralism or reformism is that we, through democratic processes, reform the system from the current state to another state, which may be a socialist, maybe is communist, maybe is something entirely different, but at least left-leaning economically.
Yeah. Yeah. See, you can bully your Democrats, but you can't tell Trump what to do.
No, definitely.
Which, speaking of, isn't there always an election counter? Because it's already started, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has started. We can look it up.
I can look at the standing of the election, right? Can I look at it? Election map. Ooh. They are both at 0.
I think it starts maybe a bit later because.
Well, the counting starts later, probably.
Exactly.
They're still. The voting is still in process.
Exactly.
I don't think this election is gonna go. I don't think it's gonna go fairly. I mean, it never does in the USA with gerrymandering and all that shit. But I think there's gonna be some major shit. Like, I am honestly conspiratorial about this election.
No, definitely.
Because with all the shit that gets that people know happens in the White House, and all the conspiracies that genuinely happen over there, it feels so like I wouldn't believe it if someone told me this election would be fair play, you know?
Well, let's see. Shall we?
We shall.
Yeah, because I also have decided to quit news diet and Instagram after this election. This is basically the last day.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I remember 4 years ago when Trump was elected and I went into high school, which I was in at that point of my life. And I drew a bunch of comics of me kicking the shit out of Donald Trump. Ah, good times.
Good times, eh?
Yeah, good times.
But to be honest, I personally also feel like I can do more at the local level currently.
Oh, definitely. What I'm doing is not healthy. Like, I'm not even in the US. This is genuinely a bad idea of me to be interested in US politics, because all that happens in the USA is people get fucking hurt. And people get fucking hurt actively by politics. And it's frustrating, terrifying, sad. And it definitely isn't healthy. Like, I could be thinking of local politics right now, and it would be much better for me, because that is in an area where I actually have some form of influence. Well, as much as one person can. But
No,
like
yeah, of course.
theoretically, I could join the town council, start or badger my mayor about starting a green project or something like that. Which, you know what, that sounds fun.
Yeah, I also have started now not only doing human rights activism, but going back to the roots and doing at least social democratic activism at my university, and soon I will hopefully be able to join a union and do some activism there.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah,
I was
love
thinking of
unions.
joining there's a green team at a uni.
Oh, the grass?
I don't remember what they're called, but they sent an email to everybody, and I think I would love joining them. Because my vein of activism has always been climate change.
No, definitely. Yeah, I personally have some very hard criticisms of like green movements around the world.
Yeah.
We can do a more in-depth episode, but I oftentimes feel like that a green party is a liberal party and dreams of green capitalism.
I see what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, and...
But I think at this point, I feel like it would be disingenuous to extend that to all of anti-climate change. Because genuinely, they're just all fed up that everybody's ignoring the actual crisis. And I feel like I completely get that about the Green political party, but from my experience, it's different. Because when I went to... I was at a Fridays for Future march in May of 2019 with like 35,000 people in Vienna. And it was largely anti-capitalistic. And I'm pretty sure they were very local about it in chants and everything.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
I can definitely see that with the Green Party, though.
Yeah. The thing is, for me, my main point of, like, I'm still very respectable of the idea of green capitalism, and I think it's on many leftists to come up with a better alternative idea rather than just making fun of it. Like, the burden of proof is on us that this can work.
And that's... See, this is why I'm kind of a platformist, because if green capitalism is what our government needs to start caring about the planet, then I'll take it over whatever the fuck is happening right now.
Yeah, no, exactly, completely. Like, many leftists will probably dislike us for saying that, but if we have a form of green capitalism which is better than the current form of capitalism, then yes, do that.
Yeah, this is exactly the same issue as with the Bernie or Busters, because you have the choice between something objectively terrible, unproductive, and harmful, and something that still is those things, but actively trying to be less so. And you're gonna tell me that you'd rather abandon the hope for something slightly better to just be angry at the first thing some more or something? I mean, there is no game plan for this, and whatever help we can get, we'll need. Because this is definitely a global crisis and people are actively currently experiencing the results of it. And they aren't gonna be... Like, if you tell people who have to flee their village because the water's rising, you tell them, like, oh no, we didn't get green capitalism because it didn't go far enough. Do you think you're helping anybody?
Yes, exactly. Like, I have had my fair share of people grandstanding to me about Yeah, no, you are discussing this issue in the completely wrong framework, my dude. You don't have any idea how fucked up the whole system is, and we don't have any other choice than the revolution.
What I would like to ask those people is, which revolution? Who's planning it? Where is it happening? Because most of the time there is no plan.
Yeah, not even that. Like, what fucks me up is I have been active and have been an activist for probably the last 3 years. Yeah. Well, 3 years, maybe it's a bit too optimistic, maybe just 2? Yeah, 2 maybe. I think 2 is more accurate currently. And the amount of like shit that happened for things that I tried to get done on a leftist perspective that were rather milquetoast. In my home city, they banned us from having like access to public rooms of the government because we were too radical or had any kind of like social bombing potential.
Oh god, yeah.
The city administration actively discriminated against us as a political group because we made the case for more affordable housing.
Yeah.
What a radical idea.
Yeah. That's it. It's kind of frustrating to think about that. Because when you get... I'm pretty sure I've heard someone talk about that. And I'm pretty sure it was ContraPoints again.
All hail the queen.
All hail the queen. In like a cool anti-monarchist way though, you know?
And anti-fascist way?
Yeah, of course.
We are all comrades here.
Yeah, all hail that comrade.
Exactly. I personally, like, I just fell into a like very pessimistic, very like bad spiral because of people telling me the entire time, yeah, well, I like what you're doing, but it's not enough, Gorge.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. No. At this point, I'm glad whenever I see anybody do anything, really.
Yeah.
As I've said, I'm a platformist, you know? And oftentimes it feels like the circles we've been talking about are just people who aren't really doing anything themselves and are just looking for excuses to be angry at random people. And it's kind of fucked up because basically you're sabotaging things that are in your interest.
Yeah.
It's kind of stupid, is what I'm saying.
I've also had to come to accept that I've just had this very negative view because I began to feel spiteful against people I shouldn't feel spiteful because they were spiteful.
Yeah, should I challenge you on that? Should I adapt another political framework where I'm like, you know what? Actually, I'm tolerating all lefties now. And you're gonna have to answer to your crimes for, like, being mean to lefties. Wait, no, fuck, you're a lefty too.
Yeah,
fuck.
Exactly. Like, personally, I just wish them all the best. And I feel like that people active in activism, for the most part, know that there is no activism without working together. Like, I've worked with people who were active communists.
Yeah, and wait, what's that thing? Like, you can tell that to people who stan Lenin. I don't actually know anything about Lenin, but Lenin actually, didn't Lenin also say that? Like, Lenin's working together with all the other people because, platformism.
I don't know, dude.
I don't know either. Go watch ContraPoints.
Yeah, I'm not going to read every single bit of leftist theory that has ever existed out there
Have
just
you
to
read
prove someone wrong.
King Kong?
Hmm?
Have you read Kropotkin?
Yeah, exactly. Like, but you can't understand that issue if you haven't read that. Well,
Cringe.
bummer.
Guess you're just not gonna understand that issue then.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think that like leftists are all that bad. I just feel like it's an inherently toxic framework, social
You
media.
say that as if you were not a leftist.
Yeah, no.
I'm
I am
a leftist too. I feel like we need to just like, this is a disclaimer.
At the end of the video?
Yeah, I'm very much to the bottom left of the political compass, and I pretty much agree with most people who are also in that area. And we're not shit talking the left for the political opinions most of the time, more for the methodology. And
Yeah,
I guess
no, definitely.
some views, I don't know.
Yeah,
Are TERFs lefties?
No, they are not.
Good!
I personally feel like, basically, I am just very unsure with my own views. I would never be able to, like, stage a violent coup or a violent revolution to, like, free the proletariat, I guess.
I mean, I don't like violence, so...
Yeah, exactly. But I also feel like I can never be so sure in my own views to justify a violent revolution.
Yeah, I get that. See, that's again where I have the one exception where if your view is to end a regime that is actively hurting its citizens on purpose, and you know that anything is better than what happens right now, then I would say a revolution is 100% I'm on your side.
Hand me the weapon, comrade. No, definitely. When there is injustice, when there's totalitarianism.
I wouldn't be fighting, cause... No, I don't know. I think what I would do in like such a scenario is like, I'm very much the type of person who would be chatting up the enemy as a distraction, you know? Because I'm very charming and can
Of course,
chatter.
you're named Chara.
Thank you. Thank you. No, but what I really love is like these stories of there's this one thing about like some dude was like, when ICE comes to his neighborhood, he talks to the police officers and like just jumps from topic to topic and keeps them in a conversation, because every minute they're there, they're not busting some poor immigrants home, you know? And I think that's really admirable. And there was also something about like Karen activism, where you use your privilege as like a Karen type person to defend people who don't have your privilege, where you're like, I'm gonna speak to the manager because you've been stalking this black person in the supermarket. You know? That's something I find extremely funny and very cool. And I wish I could be that for someone, but I am in a town with 800 people.
Which is already hard enough, isn't it?
Yeah. I think my whole life is probably better suited to online activism. By which I mean, maybe I could do charity streams that one day. That would be cool.
Yeah, in these times, definitely very valid. I also feel like we just need to put our entire efforts into moving the world incrementally to the left. That's where I'm
I see
at.
that. I mean,
and it doesn't matter how.
History moves to the left in a way.
Yes, it does, but at the same time, we have seen a very strong
there's
rightward
rebounds.
shift.
Yeah. But it is my firm belief that after the storm comes the sky.
Yeah.
No, but I see what you mean. One thing that is very specific to me, though, is that I'm always questioning if I've not just been, like, pranked, you know? Because if the right is such a large portion, they must be sensible people, you know? And then I think about their beliefs at some point, or, like, radical right people, right? And I'm like, no, how can a sensible person believe that? And then I'm like, how can this exist? Like, don't we all just want to maximize happiness? And then I'm like, what's wrong with things? Maybe the left is also doing that and I'm just dumb? And then I'm like, no, that's kind of bullshit, actually. And then I'm like, maybe I should eat some pudding, and then I go eat pudding, and that's usually the end of it.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
I also got out of my, like, basically, out of this spiral of basically feeling like the left won't ever accept my, like, views and my ideas, or rather parts of the radical left wouldn't accept my views and my ideas. I just got out of that by just basically thinking, you know, if they hate you, you have an opinion, they can at least hate, and they can tell you you're a fucking idiot as often as they like. In the end, what matters is that I will do my part in bettering people's lives directly as good as I can.
I don't think I'm vocal enough about my opinions to myself to get hate, really. Maybe that's a goal for this podcast.
Maybe that's a goal. Be hated once.
Yeah. Maybe I'll develop an opinion.
We'll see soon enough, dude. I mean, I'm already...
Maybe next time on the podcast I'll develop an opinion.
Maybe next time. No, definitely. I just feel like it's very important that you at least give people on the left, and maybe even people with whom you fundamentally disagree, but which opinions are still partially acceptable, and they don't want to hurt someone actively or something like that.
I feel like what people lack in internet political discussion is the belief that the other person is acting on good faith.
Exactly.
I feel like if you would just talk about, or like understand that you basically have the same goal, just different methods of accomplishing it, you know, that would basically end the discussion in a way.
God, we're such centrists this episode.
We're such centrists. This just in. We're centrists now. J-Reg's gonna come to our door and fucking curb stomp us into the ground.
He will crush our Amiga forms.
Yeah.
But
I'm not a
honest,
centrist. I can't be a centrist. I'm bi.
Exactly. Oh boy. Identity is going to be a fun one.
Oh. Identity.
I personally just feel like, yeah, there's like, I just got into a circle on Twitter, leftism, where a modicum of good faith towards my activism and the party where I was, or rather where I still am, was just missing. And whatever floats the boat,
You know
I'm done
what
with that.
I think you might want to get off Twitter.
Exactly. That's my plan after
I
this
think
fucking
that would
night.
be. I think that's gonna be the conclusion to all of our podcast episodes. Get off of Twitter.
Get off
Or
social media.
at least
Find a local union and get active.
Yeah.
For the workers.
The thing is, like, social media, I wouldn't say get off of social media, because in current times, social media can be can be a relief. This is gonna be extremely cringe, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I am on Tumblr, and I have my friends there, and we sort of us just reblogging each other's shit and tagging each other in shit, that's just kind of, it feels very healthy. Whereas on Twitter, it feels like Twitter is constantly shoving in your face both the worst part of politics, of disaster, and also, like, lots of other shit that's funny. So you kind of just, you go there to have fun, but suddenly there's catastrophe. Or you go to the catastrophe and suddenly you're surrounded by people who don't understand how shit everything is. And so it's sort of emotional whiplash. And really, in the end, Twitter just can be really shitty for your mental health. And,
no, 100%.
And this is coming from someone who's too afraid to tweet herself. Like,
yeah.
I barely ever tweet anything at anyone else than my friends. And I'm already scared of that. Because isn't it cringe to have an online presence?
It is inherently, yes.
Yeah. That's why every time I post a thing on Instagram, I'm like, no, this is cringe, I can't do this. And at the same time, I'm like, I have to foster the cringe, I have to let the cringe happen, to let people expect the cringe from me,
Rule with the cringe.
Yeah. Because then I can finally be free by just living in the cringe.
Please make a art too. I want to break free.
I want to break free. Yeah.
No, definitely. I guess that's also where it left me at. I have now started like an entire new chapter for me where I'm active in leftism in Austria, and I just feel so much better just doing shit in politics and just maybe using Twitter as a tool.
Yeah, that's what Twitter should be.
Yeah, a tool.
Honestly.
To get other people mad at you.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to say earlier, because Twitter is brilliant for staying up to date with stuff, but as an entertainment platform, I would not recommend it. That's why I love Tumblr, because Tumblr is kind of respectful about it. Tumblr doesn't show you anything you don't follow, and Tumblr shows you all of the things that you follow. There is no algorithm or anything. Part of Tumblr being such a shittily programmed website has made it better than most other things, because they're not trying to... Have you ever seen Tumblr ads?
No. But I just get the feeling like Tumblr is just a respectable boyfriend while that treats you right, while Twitter is just the abusive one.
Twitter is a hashtag bad boy, and in reality he's just a really shitty jerk. And you stick with him because he's cool and popular and has cool friends. No, but Tumblr is cringe, don't get me wrong. Tumblr okay, this is very funny, because Tumblr used to have all of the worst parts of leftism and activism in general, and just so much senseless discourse, because there's a lot of kids on Tumblr, right? And then Tumblr banned porn, and all of the shitty people moved to Twitter. So now Twitter has finally caught up, and they finally have these absolutely terrible brain cell-less arguments about things I don't even know. And Tumblr has just kept like the fan kids who grew up, and now they're just all into surreal memes. That's how I feel about Tumblr. Bit of a tangent, I know.
No, definitely. I personally just also think that, like, if you have a good faith towards me, I will treat you the same. We can respect each other and we can just change this thing, one step at a time. That's my position, and
Changing it, that would be nice, yeah.
Exactly, and democracy is my way of checking myself. If I can't get people to vote for me, then maybe my idea isn't that good.
Alright, now you're sounding like the free marketplace of ideas.
Nah. I will still try my best to win in a democratic election, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just not sure enough in my views yet. We will see, won't we?
We will.
Next episode we are going to have a less personal topic. We haven't decided yet, of course.
Of course.
So enjoy
I
this
personally, I think we're gonna talk about the chipettes.
Oh, yes. The dialectics of the chipettes.
Yeah.
God damn it. Well, then, thank you for listening. We will upload this episode, and I would love for you to give us feedback if you liked our more laid-back style.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And have a great day. Treat yourself.
Oh, don't... In these current times, do not forget to, breathe and realize that everything that's going on, you still have the right to have fun, you know?
Yeah.
And no one's gonna benefit from you personally suffering by looking at everything that's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Take a break, listen to your favorite songs, and pet a cat.
And get some Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
Yeah, have some Yeah, we're sponsored by Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
To be honest, that would be rad. They are so progressive.
I would accept Ben & Jerry's. You know, I hate all companies, but Ben & Jerry's, if you're out there...
Reach out to us and sponsor our content.
Sponsor our podcast that is gonna get 40 clicks and 2 people who listen to the whole thing.
That's about it. Well, then, hear you next time. Bye.
Bye.